Greetings, friends and fellow rebels, and welcome to the woods. Today I want to talk a little bit about clairvoyance, some people call psychic ability. There's a lot of psychic ability. That's a catch-all phrase for any spiritual gift that people see as being beyond the acknowledgement of consensual reality. Clairvoyance, clairsentience, we can create a lot of names for it, but let's just be simple with this. I'm talking about seeing the probable future. Now, I'm somebody who does not believe that the future is set in stone. We have free will, but there are some forces that are tent pole energies. They are required for us to have a stable reality, a stable frame for our reality. Thus, the energies are going to be there. You're not going to be able to change those. How we respond to them and how we walk with them, how we walk into them, what we do with those forces. Now that is the free will. So there are certain people that are part of that tent pole. They are part of what makes our reality, the progression of our history, what it is. If you shake that, then you're going to cause problems with the timeline. You're going to cause problems with the fabric of reality. So there are some of us who have made the choice, not always conscious, to be a stabilizing figure, a stabilizing form, to be present, to represent the archetype that we are about in a certain time and space, to be the hub, the router around which those energies can manifest out in the world and weave the web of the weird, the web of reality. So when you look at these things, you have to take that into consideration. And just as there are certain individuals whose reality is very solid and you're not going to be able to rock it very much with their own desires for what they want to do, there's also support figures for that. There may be several core support figures who were also involved in that process, whose reality is going to be fixed and difficult to move, difficult to rearrange. However, it can happen. It can be rearranged when you have a situation where the multiple figures, the tent pole figure and the supports are all move in sync. They all move in sync. But as you may understand about human nature, it's very difficult to get 5, 6, 7, 12 people, or a multitude, if you're talking about a world event, a big group of people, can be sometimes very difficult to get them all in alignment and moving in the same direction at the same time, to get their energies all in alignment, to move toward a specific goal. At least it's been difficult up until now. I think as humans come to understand their potential and how to manifest their reality in a more complete fashion, this will get easier. And I believe different spiritual disciplines and systems were built with that in mind, that you could pool the spiritual resources of a community or group of people and get them to push manifestation in a needed direction. That said, I want to talk about seeing the future. I want to give you a warning. Those of you who have the ability to see what will be, we live in an exceptional time. Up until fairly recently, it was much easier to see what was going to be, it was much easier. And the closer you get to the event, the more details around it that you can see, and the more accurate you're going to be. The further out, you can see the energies, you can kind of see what the weather is probably going to be, the psychic weather around a situation. But the actual small little details, that can be difficult. But as you get closer, it's like when you get closer to an object, you can see the details in that object. Closer to a place, far off it looks one way, but the closer you get to it, the more you can see all the fine details that make up that place. It's the same thing with the future. And there are people who are fairly good at this. What can throw you off? Things shifting. We have had multiple timelines, and we still have several, 2 or 3 timelines running. Sometimes you, or the situation you are reading, will shift to a different timeline. It's better to predict, to look into the future on the same timeline that you walk. If you are walking one timeline and your subject is walking another, your predictions, your ability to see will get skewed. It'll be more difficult to see what's going to happen with them because it's not where you're fixed. It's not where your reality goes. You need to be careful. You need to be careful who you are looking at, what kind of predictions are coming out of your mouth. Because the reality you live in, the reality you're creating, may not be the same for them. And thus it'll be harder to read. It'll be harder to read for them. It'll be harder to read for that situation. Right now, everything's hard to read anyway. Our whole reality is shifting. How it manifests. The rules of reality. And thus, the rules for seers are shifting. So, be careful. Be careful of getting too comfortable knowing what's going to take place. Because the reality can be absolutely exactly as you see it and fixed and going along, and then suddenly there'll be a shift. We're in the age of Aquarius. Sudden shifts, it's going to be the norm, at least within the transition points. And we're in a major transition point now, and will continue to be for the next few years. Have been the last few years, will continue. We're in the middle of the storm. So, be careful what you predict. Be careful what you say. And understand that you might get it wrong. Even if you're very, very good at what you do, you might get it wrong. Timeline shifts. Major players deciding that they want to avoid an event and pushing in a different direction. And then suddenly everything's different. And there's something else. There are some people who can block what you do. And it's becoming more common to take seers into consideration. In the political world, in the social world, the world controllers, those who serve the human farmers, and I don't mean the humans who farm, I mean those who farm humans. Some of them have decided that we're a threat because we can tell everyone what they're up to. We can see it. They can hide it from a lot of people, and they can pay the news to report what they want them to report. Some of them. But they can't hide from us as we become more powerful. And so they're choosing to set up our brothers and sisters who are good at spiritual warfare to put a fog or a misdirection or a complete facade, a complete fabrication between us and what they're up to. Some of us have the foresight to ask our patrons, please alert me if what I'm seeing isn't true. Give me a sign so I'll know, and I'll just back off the seeing. But not everybody has thought about that. You think about that. And welcome to the woods.